Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double unto the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And peace, blessings, and salutations unto the O4 elect tabernacle of David that are scattered abroad throughout the globe. And, this is just on my spirit. I didn't really have anything planned, but, I thought back to the lesson that the elder Damash Shapad had did, about rebuking that spirit of doubt, which I'm sure, numerous brothers responded and, covered it. But it's definitely a vital message to put out there, especially in these times that we're coming into, perilous times. Things about to get real hectic. And, we have to definitely be prepared. But one of the things that's going to keep us stable in this thing is our faith, our stability, which the scriptures say in Isaiah, the 33rd chapter, the 6th verse. It says, knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of our times and the strength of our salvation. And if you've ever looked up that word for stability, the Hebrew word is abawana, which goes back to the word amawan, which means faith. And that's something that we need to have maximized. All right. We have to, max out our faith. Just don't let it default. Don't let it drop down to zero. Because in these times ahead, we're going to definitely need that stability. And it's too late in the game to start waxing lukewarm. And, we know what the Lord said. If you start getting lukewarm, He's just going to spew out of His mouth. He'd rather that you be hot or cold. And you got certain guys this late in the game that are, getting lukewarm and dropping out. And that's not a good look, man. So, what we're involved in, it's our obligation, and you do not want to default on that obligation, especially if the Lord called you. This is a very holy calling that you've been called to. All right. A heavenly invitation to serve Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So know that we're all obligated, to finish, what we're a part of. Okay. So I looked up the word default. It says failure to fulfill an obligation, especially to repay a loan or appear in a court of law. All right. And, there's different meanings to it, but, I thought this would suit the lesson because, we're obligated because the Lord, He actually died for us so that we can do what we're doing. We're operating on faith by the grace that the Lord actually granted us. So we're pretty much obligated to Him. We owe Him. And He gave us the earnest of the Spirit. He gave us a down payment. So we're vowed to go out there and do what we got to do. We have to labor. We have to put in His work. All right. So, just to get a couple precepts, let me start here at Luke 17, and this is the parable that Yahushai spoke. This is Luke 17, and verse 7, it says, but which of you having a servant plowing or feeding cattle will say unto him by and by, when he is come from the field, go and sit down to meat? And will not rather say unto him, make ready wherewith I may sup, and gird thyself and serve me, till I have eaten and drunken, and afterward thou shalt eat and drink. Doeth he thank that servant because he did the things that were commanded him? I troll not. So likewise ye, when you have done all those things which are commanded you, say we are unprofitable servants. We have done that which was our duty to do. In other words, you are obligated because this is part of not part of, this is your job. So you're obligated. All right. And when you look up that word duty, the word is ophilo in the Greek. And it says in the usage, to owe money, be in debt for that which is due, the debt. All right, metaphorically, the goodwill due. So we're actually obligated. And if you start doubting and your faith starts to wax warm and eventually cold, that's an example of failure to make that payment, which in other words, you then defaulted on your faith. You defaulted, man, instead of actually maximizing. You don't want to default in this thing of ours, man. Because when the Lord shows up, he's going to reject you. Okay. He's going to reject you. And, we're all under that vow. All right. The Lord said, he that often put of his hand to the plow and looketh back is not fit for the kingdom. And that's why the apostles always, light that fire under brothers to stay on fire, man. It's really for your benefit. Sirach 4. Let me see. Where's it at? I'll read verse 29, and it says, Sirach 20, start at 28, actually. It says, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. Be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss. Meaning you fail to, meet your obligation. You failed in your duties. And our duty, our job is to serve the Lord and do his work. Whatever the Lord calls you to do, whatever your office, whatever your position is. And he all gave us, a portion of the faith to fulfill that. And you go to, let's go to Romans 12. Romans 12 and verse 3, and it says, for I say, through the grace given unto me, which we all have that grace now, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think. Because certain guys, they get on fire for a bit, then they start to, get beside themselves. They start getting complacent. They start getting high-minded. Then the thrill, starts to dissipate. It's just not fun anymore. It's not interesting. It's getting boring. Matter of fact, because when it gets to that point, and Jake don't pray, they don't fast, they don't rebuke those demons, they either start to wax warm and then eventually they get cold and just fall completely away, or they'll start to feel like they're deserving of higher praise. They want status for what they're doing. So they'll do what you see Nate has done, Alizar to Zaryak, where they just start to, go elsewhere, instead of keeping it basic and sticking to the script. Jake want to reinvent the wheel. They want to, receive the praise of men. So they come up with these gimmicks, make a reputation, a name for themselves because they think that they're more highly than what they're supposed to think. You start linking up with the Nation of Islam. They start going commercial, going on all these different platforms, talking about themselves, talking about worldly issues and not, dealing with the scriptures. So, this is just a warning, You got to rebuke those demons and remain humble, right? And understand that, the Lord, he called you. But it doesn't mean don't start acting like you're chosen because you were called into this thing. That's where guys start to, lose their head. It says, but to think soberly, according as the Most High have dealt to every man the measure of faith. So we all were given a measure. And whatever he gave to you, maximize it. This is in the Amplified. It says, for by the grace of the Most High given to me, I say to every one of you not to think more highly of himself and of his importance and ability. Yeah, we're gonna go and stop the crime rate by going out and marching 1,000 deep in a city. You're thinking too highly of yourself. Okay. It says, then he ought to think, but to think so as to have sound judgment, as the Most High is apportioned to each a degree of faith and a purpose designed for service. For just as in one physical body we have many parts, and these parts do not all have the same function or special use. So we who are many are nevertheless just one body in Yahushua, and individually we are parts one of another, mutually dependent on each other. All right. And the Lord, he gave us different various gifts. And whichever gift the Lord gave you, you use it to the max. Do not default. Because the Lord is not going to give you no refill. All right. It says, so we who are many are nevertheless just one body in Yahushua and Mashiach, and individually we are parts of one another, mutually dependent on each other. Since we have gifts that differ according to the grace given to us, each of us is to use them accordingly. If someone has the gift of prophecy, let him speak a new message from the Most High to his people in portion to the faith possessed, the proportion to the faith possessed. Okay, we all have different levels. Some brothers' faith is higher than others. Some brothers is, but either way, we working in tangent together because, we're fulfilling a duty, an obligation, a purpose. It says, if service in an act of serving, or he who teaches in an act of teaching, or he who encourages in an act of encouragement, he who gives with generosity, he who leads with diligence, he who shows mercy in caring for others with cheerfulness, and all these different things, we have to show ferventness, meaning you're going to be persistent with it, diligent. Love is to be sincere and active, the real thing, without guile and hypocrisy. Let it not be without dissimulation, right? Hate what is evil, detest all ungodliness, do not tolerate wickedness, hold on tightly to what is good. The Lord always said that, hold fast to that which is good. He even said that in Revelation, the 2nd chapter, to him that continuing the thing that he has, the same shall he make ruler, over the nations. Was that Revelation 2:26? Yeah, Revelation 2:25 says, but that which you have already hold fast till I come. All right. So the Lord always reminded us that. So we got to hold on to it. What the Lord gave, hold on to it and try to maximize, but don't default. Okay. and don't burn out. Keep the lamp and keep the lamp burning. Keep the oil in your lamp, trim it, keep it trimmed, but do not burn out. Okay. It says, be devoted to one another with authentic brotherly affection, brotherly love. As members of one family, give preference to one another in honor, never lagging behind in diligence, aglow in the spirit, enthusiastically serving the Lord. And that's dealing with being on fire. Okay. You go to, let's go to the KJV. And it says, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. And that word fervent, I believe, is from the Greek word zeal, which means basically to be burning, to be on fire, man. It says to be hot, boil of liquids, or glow of solids. Figuratively, be fervent, earnest, be fervent. To boil with heat, be hot. All right. Metaphorically used of boiling anger, love, zeal for what is good or bad. Fervent in spirit, said of zeal for what is good. Okay. And if you're fervent in the spirit, you're gonna be maximized in whatever gift that you have. The moment you default, that's when the doubt and the unbelief and, the lack of enthusiasm, you lose the thrill. Once that happens, and if you're not praying that the Lord don't take the spirit from you, then you just grow cold and wait for the Lord to deal with you. And that's, that's the worst thing that can happen, because now you're going to be held accountable and you're going to be beaten with many stripes because you failed an obligation. So you're going to be beaten with many stripes because you failed. All right. Let me get that in Luke. Was it 12? Yeah, this is Luke 12 and starting at verse 43. It says, blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Let me go to see what the Amplified says. It says, blessed, happy, prosperous, to be admired is that servant whom his master finds doing when he arrives. I assure you, and most solemnly to say to you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. All right. The Lord's going to, promote you. But if that servant says in his heart, my master is taking his time in coming, and begins to beat the servants, both men and women, and to eat and drink and get drunk, you just basically start to commune with this world, have fellowship with the world, and become an enemy to this truth and this ministry and the brothers that are still, in the fight, that are still laboring. The master of that servant will come on the day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and assign him a place with the unbelievers. And that servant who knew his master's will and yet did not get ready or act in accord with his will will be beaten with many lashes of the whip. This is talking about a servant who defaulted. He didn't prepare himself. He didn't count the cost, if you will. And I'm going to get that next. This Lord is explaining the same thing, but in a different way. Same message, but, he's saying it in a different way. All right. But the one who did not know it and did things worthy of a beating will receive only a few lashes. From everyone to whom much has been given, much will be required. All right. You've been obligated. And to whom they entrusted much of him, they will ask all the more. So let's go from there to Luke 14. And was it 28? Yeah, this is Luke 14:28. It says, "For which one of you, when he wants to build a watchtower for his guards, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if he has enough to finish it? Do you have enough to pay the full payment so that you can actually finish building?" I remember years ago, man. This was like maybe 11 years ago or so. There was a hotel that was being built here in Vegas. It was away from the strip. It was like in the Summerlin area, and they started building, but then because the people who funded the project to start building for a hotel, they ran out of money, so the building stopped. So it was just sitting there, and it wasn't no tiles yet. It wasn't no windows. It was just pretty much just sitting there, dormant, and it wasn't finished, and it was sitting there for a while until someone else stepped in and they finished the funding and put the money in, and then they proceeded to build it. And I remember the elder brother Shaquat in the camp. He had did a little short video. We used to call it GMS Sin City Quickies. These were little short, quick lessons. Where we would just go to a location and of significance, and we would do like a little quick lesson. Using that significant place as an example for the scripture that we're breaking down. And he used that location as an example of this verse here that I'm reading. All right. And I believe it still might be on that page. It's, one of the older pages that we have for a minute. But yeah. You don't want to default, man. You want to maximize. It says, verse 29, otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is unable to finish the building, all who see it will begin to ridicule him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king, when he sets out to meet another king in battle, will not first sit down and consider whether he is strong enough with 10,000 men to encounter the one who is coming against him with 20,000? Or else, if he feels he is not powerful enough, while the other king is still a far distance away, he sends an envoy and asks for terms of peace. So then, none of you can be my disciple who does not carefully consider the cost and then, for my sake, give up all his own possessions. So we're trying to please the Lord, and we're his servant. So whatever task or duty he gave us to do, we're obligated to fulfill that. And the default, and the failure to meet that obligation is the lack of faith. Waxing lukewarm, being doubtful. And like the elder said, Elder Dimash, you got to rebuke it, man. It was spoken of here in Hebrews, the 3rd chapter, where basically Paul warns about that spirit. Hebrews 3:12, it says, take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief and departing from the living power. And you have to acknowledge, if that demon is there. You got an Agent Smith, all right, on your left shoulder that's, trying to get you to, slow down, or he's trying to, put certain thoughts in your head. Don't you think you need to slow down? Won't you give some time to yourself? Won't you go deal with your family? Go look for some opportunities. And, what if the Lord don't come in the next 5 years or whatever? He's going to be putting them kind of thoughts into your head. Then you'll start to put it off day to day. And you'll start to think like those unbelievers in that parable. My Lord delayeth his coming. Then he start to eat and drink, with the drunken and smite his fellow servants. That's what'll start to happen, man. Then you start developing thoughts towards the brotherhood, the ministry, and it ain't nothing but Satan trying to feed you to get you up out of there. Then you end up defaulting because you end up choking the word and you become unfruitful. You're no longer productive because your heart ain't in it anymore. So this is why the elder apostles, they stay on brothers' heads, man. And it tells you here, let's go to Hebrews 6:10, and it says, for the Most High is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which you have shewed toward his name, and that you have ministered to the saints and do minister. And we desire that every one of you shew the same diligence to the full assurance of hope unto the end. When you look up that word for desire, the word apethomeo, and it says to set the heart upon, long for, covet, desire, feign. We desire, right? And then there was another term. Let me see real quick. Is it this word? No. Yeah, the word here in the etymology, because it has two compound words, two root words. The word here is a ipi, which means upon, at, by, before. And then you have the other word, thumos, epithumos, and it means passion, as if breathing hard, fierceness, indignation, wrath. Passion, angry, heat, anger forthwith, boiling up and soon subsiding again. Glow, ardor, the wine of passion, and flaming wine, which either drives the drinker mad or kills him with its strength. All right. But we talking about in a good sense, so basically the desire is for brothers to be on fire, man. And they do it with that heated passion. Like when you hear the elder apostles, screaming sometimes damn near to get brothers on track. That's what this is talking about. That's that desire. Okay. Go back to G2380. Thuo. It says to rush, blow, breathe hard, blow smoke. Compare with G5590, psyche, which is dealing with your mind, your spirit. So there it is, man. So you want to you want to have that same passion and maintain it, steadfastly to the end. So it says, and we desire that every one of you do shew the same diligence, and diligence is what acquires, that fire to be met. Like when it says, not slothful in business, but fervent in spirit. It's just dealing with being diligent. Okay. It goes hand in hand. All right, let's prove that. Let's deal with one of Apostle John's disciples who had to be taught again. It's Acts 18. Yeah, Acts 18 and 23 says, and after that he had spent some time there, he departed and went over all the country of Galatia and Phrygia in order strengthening all his disciples. And a certain Jew named Apollos, born at Alexandria, an eloquent man and mighty in the scriptures, came to Ephesus. This man was instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in the spirit, he spake and taught diligently the things of the Lord, knowing only the baptism of John. All right. So you see that coincides. Being fervent, you're going to be diligent in the spirit. Okay. That's just what's going to happen. You're going to be persistent with it. You're going to be eager. It says, and he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom when Aquila and Priscilla had heard, they took him unto them and expounded unto him the way of the Most High more perfectly. So they, broke bread with him. The wife, she assisted Aquila. She wasn't, because the scriptures say not to teach nor usurp authority of the man. So, she wasn't right there trying to, teach him. But I'm pretty sure, she was assisting her husband while he actually taught Apollos. All right. So he can get the full spectrum. And he was on fire, man. So, we all, in order for us to function properly, it's going to take for the enthusiasm, the urgency from everybody involved to put in, basically put up their use based on the proportion that the Lord gave to them. So, this is an obligation and it has to be fulfilled. So we have to definitely make sure that we're maximizing our faith. All right. And utilize that. Do not default. Do not fail to meet this obligation. Because the end of that is weeping, wailing, and gnashing of the teeth. Being appointed with the unbelievers. Being denied by Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So we do these lessons to admonish one another. Matter of fact, I'm gonna end on that. Hebrews 10 and verse 24 says, I'll start at 23. It says, let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, right? Not being doubtful, for he is faithful that promised, and let us consider one another to provoke unto love and the good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. Lord willing, hopefully y'all were edified. And we give all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and to the next one. Shalom.